Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a topic that some have called the silent pandemic, the rise of drug-resistant superbugs.
Let's kick things off with a prediction that is just chillingly accurate. Almost 80 years ago, the guy who actually discovered penicillin, Alexander Fleming, put out this warning. He basically saw it coming, that our greatest medical miracle could be completely undone by our own carelessness. And, well, he was right.
So here's how we're going to break it down. We'll look at the sheer scale of the threat, unpack how we got here, see the far-reaching consequences for all of us, explore the global race for new cures, and finally, ask what it's going to take to secure our future. All right, so first up, what exactly is this threat? The World Health Organization calls it one of the top 10 threats to global health, and that's because it could literally unravel modern medicine as we know it. It all comes down to something called antimicrobial resistance, or AMR for short. And what it really boils down to is this. It's when germs, like bacteria and fungi, evolve and learn how to beat the very drugs we designed to kill them. Suddenly, a simple infection that used to be no big deal can become totally life-threatening. And the scale of this thing? It is just staggering. If we don't change course, AMR is projected to cause this many deaths, 10 million, every single year by 2050. To put that in perspective for you, that's more people than currently die from cancer each year.
So, how on earth did we get here? How did a natural process, evolution, spiral into a full-blown global crisis? Well, the answer really lies in the incredible pressure we've been putting on these tiny organisms in, well, pretty much every corner of our world. At its heart, it's a pretty straightforward process of selective pressure. See, when we use an antibiotic, it wipes out all the weak, susceptible germs. But if a few happen to have some natural resistance, they survive. And now they've got all this room to grow and multiply. And what's even crazier is that they can then pass their resistance genes to other bacteria. It's like they're sharing a cheat code for survival.
So you might be wondering, where is most of this pressure coming from? You might think it's all our own prescriptions, right? Well, take a look at this. The data points somewhere completely different. A whopping 70% of medically important antibiotics sold in the US aren't for people. They're for livestock. And the problem is only growing. Even with regulations trying to slow this down, sales of these drugs for livestock recently jumped by nearly 16%. That is a massive increase in pressure being applied year after year.
And all that overuse in farming, plus the waste from drug manufacturing that isn't handled properly, it all has to go somewhere. It creates these huge environmental breeding grounds for superbugs. They seep into our soil, our water systems, and eventually they find their way back to us.
Okay, so that's the how. Now let's talk about the so what. What are the real-world consequences? Because this ripple effect, it really does touch every single one of us, even if you never get a resistant infection yourself. Think about it. So many things we just take for granted in medicine, C-sections, hip replacements, organ transplants, even cancer treatments, they all depend on one crucial thing, our ability to use antibiotics to stop infections. As those antibiotics stop working, all of these routine, life-saving procedures become incredibly risky. And then there's the money. The economic hit is just mind-blowing. Right now, we're talking about $66 billion a year in direct healthcare costs globally. But if we stay on this path, that number is set to blow past $15 billion by 2050. And that doesn't even count the trillions more in lost productivity from people being too sick to work. So, this all sounds pretty dire. The big question is, what's being done to fight back? Because this is a race against microbial evolution, and frankly, for a while now, it's been a race we've been losing.
And the challenge here is just enormous. Developing new antibiotics is hard, it's expensive, and for a long time, it wasn't very profitable for drug companies. I mean, can you believe we went over 30 years without a single new class of antibiotic being introduced? The pipeline was basically broken.
So the global game plan to fight back really comes down to three main things. First is stewardship, just being smarter about how we use the precious drugs we already have. Second is surveillance. You got to know your enemy, right? So we're tracking where and how resistance is spreading. And third is innovation, because we desperately need new weapons in this fight. And some of this new innovation is straight out of science fiction. It's really cool. We're moving away from those old carpet bomb antibiotics that kill everything in sight, and we're getting into highly precise tools. We're talking about things like phage therapy, using viruses that are programmed to hunt down and kill only specific bacteria, or CRISPR gene editing, to literally snip out the resistance genes from a superbug. We're even using AI to discover totally new compounds that bacteria have never seen before. It's a whole new ballgame.
Which brings us to our final and maybe the most critical part of this whole thing. What does the future actually hold? Are we really heading for a future without cures?
The key to success, it seems to be embracing what's called a One Health approach. And the idea is pretty simple. You can't just solve this problem in our hospitals. You have to recognize that the health of people, animals, and our environment are all connected. You have to tackle resistance everywhere it exists, all at the same time.
And look, there is absolutely reason for hope. Check out this number. A new forecast suggests we could save 92 million lives by 2050. And get this, not with some futuristic miracle drug, but just by improving basic infection care and expanding access to the effective antibiotics we already have. That alone can make a world of difference.
Ultimately, antibiotics made the world we live in possible. So the real question is, what will it take to save them? It's going to require global cooperation, real investment in innovation, and a fundamental shift in how we think about these life-saving medicines. They aren't just another commodity. They're a precious resource that protects us all. And saving them is truly one of the greatest public health challenges of our time.